Okay, guys, before we begin, I want us to all do a quick exercise together. Join me and close your eyes. In your head, I want you to concoct a movie trailer of your life. Think of where you've been, where you are, where you're going. Throw in a nice title card and your favorite song from your soundtrack. Okay, got it? Now let's open our eyes. Don't fall asleep on me yet. Okay, who here envisioned a story where they were the center of it? Yeah. Okay, keep your hands up. Let's pan out and zoom to everyone in this room who too envisioned a story where they were the center of it. Now, let's think about what this means. This means that to the person sitting next to you, maybe you're just a side character, or dare I say, an extra? You see, Gen Z has created a whole culture rooted in this mindset and revolved around being the main character. It's gotten so intense that it's earned the name main character syndrome. This term is used to describe when someone sees themselves as the protagonist of their own life, and their life being a movie. Regardless of which generation you come from, I'm sure we've all interacted with main character syndrome to some extent. Whether you have a friend that treats their gym comeback like a Rocky montage, or if you yourself treat a haircut like a character arc. Let's be real. Romanticizing the mundane nature of everyday life can be fun. The coffee tastes better, walking feels more like strutting. But what I'm here to ask today is, what's the cost of claiming the spotlight? In today's talk, we're going to dive into how main character syndrome has quietly redefined identity and connection, how we got here, and what comes next. First, let's take a second to visualize main character syndrome. Modern-day philosopher Anna Gottlieb proposes it looks and feels a little something like this, every main character being their own isolated dot. So I invite you to pick a dot that resembles yourself, whichever one is calling your name. I'll pick this one. Now, if someone were to ask me to identify myself, how would I even answer? I'm kind of in the middle, one of the smaller dots. It would be a struggle. But now let's look at a model like this, which is more so the antithesis of main character syndrome. Once again, go ahead and pick a dot that resembles yourself. I'll pick this one. Now, if someone were to ask me to identify myself, bam, middle row, last column, topmost dot. The point I'm trying to make here is, isn't the concept of self quite relational? Gottlieb argues that we can only know who we are when we interact with others. Our preferences, our taste, our values and beliefs, they're all a byproduct of shared experiences, sharing stories. So if we live in a social framework like this, where everyone is empowered to feel like a main character, how exactly are we supposed to know who we are? Identity is not something that is meant to be built alone. It's shaped through relationships, through dialogue, through interactions. Identity is not a solo act nor a one-man show, but rather a co-authored, ever-evolving piece of work. With this framework, we've found ourselves exchanging this idea of identity for this idea of branding. And accelerated by social media, we've succumbed to these binaries of me and you, which is why we obsess over how we display. Gen Z, think about how much time you've put into perfecting your profiles online, because that is how you communicate your identity to others. Boston University advertising professor Lisa Borden explains what a brand is as the essence of something that lives on in other people's heads. And that perfectly describes what Gen Z has gotten so fixated with and what we've mistaken as identity. We all know this. A strong brand is hefty social currency. If you have cool associations, you're worth more. And when you live life like a main character, you are partaking in this pseudo-identity economy. Identity has become misconstrued with branding, kind of like how living has gotten misconstrued with performance. And it's when you're trying to pin down this perfect performance, this perfect display, that we put others on the back burner because they fall beneath us when the credits start to roll. This leads me to my next point, that main character syndrome costs us connection. If you think about it, Gen Z should be the most connected generation in history with our mobile devices and social media. But then why is it that 67% of Gen Z admits to feeling lonely? There have been countless of studies correlating loneliness and social media usage, and with Gen Z spending up to 5 hours on these platforms a day, we're basically marinating in isolation. You see, I would argue that social media innately enables you to feel like a main character. And that main character mindset perpetuates loneliness because it devalues real, tangible connection, and it weaponizes individualism. It's eroded our ability to empathize. When we're so wound up in our own plots and our own desires, we often fail to connect with other people's storylines, and we fail to feel narratives outside of our own. So yeah, no wonder Gen Z has become so lonely. We've been missing out on the richest parts of being human: shared joy, mutual growth, collective effervescence, being a part of something bigger than ourselves. And no, this doesn't just come from how I feel about this or my observations. It's rooted in biology and in facts. Scientists often put strong social connection on the same pedestal as getting your sleep, exercising, eating well. So if we know how vital strong social connection is, why is it that Gen Z has slowly devalued it in pursuit of becoming a main character? And I think the short answer to this is, we were never meant to have this many windows into lives that aren't ours, especially starting so young. There's too much noise, too much information, too much comparison, so we turn inward. And we become so wrapped up in our own plot and performance that it's the normal to scroll past suffering, war, pain, death, and go about our days. Does that sound right? When all human information is at our fingertips, yet impactful change feels so out of hand, it feels stabilizing and peaceful to control what we can and perfect our stories and turn a blind eye to the others. Jason Lee Daniel beautifully summarizes everything I've been trying to get at this whole talk. We are analog hearts living in a digital scoreboard where metrics feel like meaning, visibility feels like value, and attention feels like intimacy. So what now? Gen Z specifically, I urge you to thoughtfully go about this cultural shift. I'm not asking you to give up your storylines. I'm asking you to realize they were never meant to be written alone. So why don't we start right here? I ask you to turn to the people next to you. Don't be shy. Please actually do it. Thank you. For a minute, something really cool just happened. You became a part of other people's stories, and they became a part of yours. The people around you in this room and in life are not just extras, they're your co-authors with life experiences just as rich and vivid as your own. They are people you could connect with, but people you can definitely learn a lot about yourself from. I truly hope future generations are able to experience the fruits of identity, togetherness, community, Because yes, your story is going to be the best one you've ever written, but if it's the only one you engage with, it will likely be a lonely one. Thank you.